exposed wire nuts in temporary construction wiring systems do indeed need to be taped. The practice of taping wire nuts isn't just a matter of preference, it's a crucial safety measure and often a requirement to comply with electrical codes. Firstly, consider the primary purpose of a wire nut. It's designed to create a secure mechanical connection between two or more electrical conductors. However, the connection isn't completely insulated by the wire nut alone. There is always a possibility of exposed conductive surfaces, particularly at the points where the wires enter and exit the wire nut. Secondly, taping provides an additional layer of insulation. This extra insulation reduces the risk of accidental contact with energized conductors. In a construction environment where conditions are often wet, dusty, and generally harsh, this added protection is especially important. Moisture and contaminants can compromise the integrity of the connection and increase the risk of electrical shock. Thirdly, taping helps to prevent the wire nut from loosening over time. Vibration, physical stress, and temperature changes can cause the wire nut to gradually unscrew, which can lead to a loose connection, arcing, and potentially a fire hazard. The tape helps to secure the wire nut in place, minimizing the risk of it coming loose. Now let's consider the practical aspects of taping wire nuts. The recommended method involves using electrical tape that is specifically designed for this purpose. Electrical tape is typically made of a polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, material that is both flexible and resistant to moisture, abrasion, and chemicals. It also has a strong adhesive that ensures a secure and long-lasting bond. When taping a wire nut, start by wrapping the tape around the wire nut itself, overlapping the edge of the wire nut and extending onto the insulated wires. This creates a seal that prevents moisture from entering the connection. Continue wrapping the tape tightly and evenly, overlapping each layer by about half the width of the tape. This ensures that the entire connection is completely covered and insulated. Pay particular attention to the points where the wires enter and exit the wire nut, as these are the most vulnerable to exposure. Apply several layers of tape in these areas to provide extra protection. After you have finished wrapping the wire nut, press the tape firmly to ensure that it adheres properly to the wires and the wire nut. Smooth out any wrinkles or air pockets to create a tight and uniform seal. A properly taped wire nut should be completely covered in tape, with no exposed conductive surfaces. It should also be securely fastened to the wires, with no loose ends or gaps. It is important to note that the type of electrical tape you use can also affect the quality and durability of the connection. There are many different types of electrical tape available on the market, each with its own specific properties and applications. For general-purpose wiring, a standard grade of electrical tape is usually sufficient. However, for more demanding applications, such as those involving high temperatures, moisture, or chemicals, a higher grade of tape may be necessary. Always check the manufacturer's specifications to ensure that the tape is suitable for the intended application. Furthermore, when working with electrical wiring, it is crucial to follow all applicable safety codes and regulations. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides detailed guidelines for safe electrical practices, including the proper methods for making electrical connections. The NEC requires that all electrical connections be made in a way that is mechanically and electrically sound, and that all exposed conductive surfaces be properly insulated. In addition, the NEC may have specific requirements for the taping of wire nuts in certain applications. For example, the NEC may require that wire nuts be taped in wet locations or in areas where they are subject to physical damage. It is important to consult the NEC and any other applicable codes to ensure that you are following all the necessary safety precautions. Failure to do so can result in serious injury or property damage. Another important consideration when working with electrical wiring is the proper selection and installation of wire nuts. Wire nuts are available in a variety of sizes and types, each designed for a specific range of wire sizes and applications. Using the wrong size or type of wire nut can result in a loose or unreliable connection. Always check the manufacturer's specifications to ensure that you are using the correct wire nut for the wires you are connecting. When installing wire nuts, it is important to strip the wires to the correct length and to twist them together tightly before inserting them into the wire nut. This will ensure that the wires are properly seated in the wire nut and that there is good electrical contact between them. After the wires are inserted, tighten the wire nut firmly by hand. Do not over-tighten the wire nut, as this can damage the wires or the wire nut itself. One should also visually inspect the connection to ensure that the wires are properly seated and that there are no exposed conductive surfaces. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical wiring, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary safety precautions to protect yourself and others. A qualified electrician has the knowledge, skills, and experience to perform electrical work safely and correctly. The electrician can also help you to select the right materials and equipment for the job and to ensure that the work complies with all applicable codes and regulations. Temporary construction wiring systems present unique challenges due to their dynamic nature and exposure to the elements. These systems are frequently modified, extended, and subjected to rough handling. Therefore, the need for secure and well-insulated connections is amplified. Consider these additional points regarding taping wire nuts in temporary construction wiring. Firstly, the frequent modifications in temporary wiring mean connections are more likely to be disturbed. Taping adds a physical barrier, reducing the chance of accidental disconnection when wires are moved or bumped. Secondly, construction sites often involve a diverse workforce, some of whom may not be fully aware of electrical hazards. Well-taped connections offer a visual cue, highlighting the presence of electrical components and encouraging caution. Thirdly, temporary wiring is often exposed to more severe environmental conditions than permanent wiring. Rain, dust, and temperature fluctuations can accelerate the degradation of insulation and increase the risk of corrosion. Taping provides an extra layer of protection against these factors. Furthermore, remember that the color of electrical tape also has significance. While black tape is most commonly used for general insulation purposes, other colors can be used to identify different circuits or voltage levels. This can be especially helpful in temporary wiring systems, where circuits may be frequently reconfigured. For example, blue tape might be used to identify 120-volt circuits, while red tape might be used to identify 208 or 240-volt circuits. However, it is important to note that the color coding of electrical tape is not standardized across all jurisdictions. Always check the local electrical codes and regulations to determine the proper color coding scheme for your area. In addition to taping wire nuts, it is also important to use other safety precautions when working with electrical wiring. These precautions include always energizing the circuit before working on it, using insulated tools, wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, and following all applicable codes and regulations. Energizing the circuit is the most important safety precaution. This means turning off the power to the circuit at the breaker panel or fuse box before you begin working on it. To be sure that the circuit is de-energized, use a voltage tester to verify that there is no voltage present in the wires. Insulated tools are designed to protect you from electrical shock. These tools have handles that are made of a non-conductive material, such as rubber or plastic. Always use insulated tools when working with electrical wiring, even if you have to energize the circuit. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is another important safety precaution. PPE includes items such as safety glasses, gloves, and shoes. Safety glasses protect your eyes from flying debris, while gloves protect your hands from electrical shock and burns. Shoes provide insulation from the ground and protect your feet from injury. Always wear appropriate PPE when working with electrical wiring. Finally, it is important to follow all applicable codes and regulations when working with electrical wiring. These codes and regulations are designed to ensure that electrical work is performed safely and correctly. Always consult the local electrical codes and regulations before you begin any electrical work. To reiterate, the seemingly simple act of taping wire nuts in temporary construction wiring systems is far from trivial. It is a multifaceted safety measure that contributes significantly to preventing electrical hazards, ensuring code compliance, and promoting a safe working environment. By understanding the reasons behind this practice and following proper taping techniques, one can mitigate risks and maintain the integrity of electrical connections in demanding construction settings. The additional insulation provided by the tape protects against accidental contact, reduces the risk of short circuits, and provides protection from moisture. The simple act of taping wire nuts provides a more secure connection and reduces the risk of the wires coming loose and potential failure. Always inspect your electrical connections before and after applying electrical tape, looking for loose wires, corrosion, or damage to the wire nuts themselves. Correct any issues before taping to ensure a solid and safe connection. If a wire nut is cracked or damaged, replace it with a new one of the correct size and type. It is also essential to use the correct type of electrical tape. General-purpose electrical tape is suitable for most applications, but specialized tapes are available for high-temperature or wet environments. Use the appropriate tape for the specific conditions of your construction site.